Community voice.
Hello and welcome to At Home in Iowa City. I'm your host, Mayor Regenia Bailey, here at the City Channel 4 studio. On today's show, I'll be speaking with Police Chief Sam Hargadine to get an update on the activities of the Iowa City Police Department. We'll be discussing the new Iowa City Crime Prevention Officer and his activities, policing the downtown area, activities on the southeast side of Iowa City, and more. Well, thanks, Chief, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a busy year in the Iowa City Police Department, but we were able to hire a new crime prevention officer, Jory Bailey, no relation to me, Jory Bailey. Could you talk a little bit for the community about this officer and what his duties will be?
Yes, as you said, his name is Officer Jory Bailey. He's had a few years on the department now. He's not he's got some experience, but he's also got some youth and vitality to bring to the position, and that's something that we intentionally were looking for. But one of the things we've noticed in the past few years is we were losing ground when it came to educational efforts and getting our message out to the community. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to address by filling that position.
Okay, so he'll be out in the community working with neighborhoods, working with different community groups?
Yes, and if when it comes to those groups needing to relay their needs to the police department, he should be on the point there and listening and working with other city departments as well. For example, Marcia Klingeman's office and the neighborhood response teams and those kind of things.
Which leads me sort of to my next question. One of the things that has been very busy this year is the police department's work with neighborhoods, particularly on the southeast side of Iowa City. I think that's gotten a lot of attention, but your department works with all of our neighborhoods throughout the community. Talk a little bit about some of the activities and some of the advice you have for neighborhoods throughout Iowa City in keeping residents safe.
Well, as neighbors and the neighborhood associations, as they meet throughout the year, oftentimes, depending upon what the issue is, I get asked to come and talk. I believe I've been to your neighborhood association a time or two talking about loud parties that sometimes are indicative of student-rich housing. And likewise, on the southeast side, we had a number of issues that rose over the summer. There are issues that have risen in summers past, but kind of reached a boiling point this summer after a couple of events. And you know, a lot of the issues were things that didn't rise to front page things, but they just eat at people over a long period of time. So then when the big issue does come, neighbors are angry and they want to vent and they want to get together and they want their government to listen to them as well as their police department.
And so you've been very active on the southeast side with not only your the department, but neighborhood services and other departments working on issues on the southeast side. Do you anticipate that those will continue throughout the winter, spring, and into next summer?
Well, some of those activities occur outside in the shelter houses. So as Iowa's winter bears down on us, like it looks like it's already started, you know, that's going to force us indoors. But yes, I see, you know, we usually meet in school gymnasiums or auditoriums. Schools are spread out all over, you know, in neighborhoods, so that's a likely and desirable place to meet.
So I know that there were some cooperative efforts with other law enforcement agencies in the area to address some of the issues on the southeast side. Is that something that you typically do as a department?
We do collaborate with the other, our sister agencies in Johnson County on a routine basis. But usually it's for, you know, the major crimes, athletic events, footballs. We've always helped the UI out with like football events and those kind of things. But in this particular instance, and since we're the largest agency in Johnson County, it's usually us that provides the help. But in this particular instance, we needed to devote more officers into the southeast part in those neighborhoods, and UIPD was able to step up and assist us in the downtown area. We still had to maintain a presence down there, but some of those collaborations that we've worked on throughout the year actually helped us out there. There were other agencies as well. Johnson County, the sheriff, has his officers patrolled through, down, as they go down Highway 6, they would veer off and drive through the Broadway area, and so it helped. I think from what I've heard from the neighbors and the residents is they really noticed the increase in police presence, and it was appreciated.
Well, downtown is something that also keeps your department very busy, and as you mentioned, the department is cooperating with the UIPD, but talk a little bit about the need for presence down there and the activities that require your presence in the downtown area.
You're correct. It's something that sometimes is controversial, but we've learned over experience that when we're not down there, there is a potential for really violent things to occur. And sometimes it occurs even when we are down there because we can't be everywhere at once. But usually the more police presence we have down there, the fewer incidences of violence that occur. And we have collaborated with our other agencies, and UIPD has stepped up. They've been able to put sometimes 6 to 10 officers down there on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays when we've done the same thing. So it really does increase our presence and the overall police presence in that downtown. And I think we've seen some positive results because of that.
Do you notice a difference in home football games, or is the activity the same when those football games are on TV and people are downtown viewing them in the bars?
Home football games are almost, that's a totally different situation.
Okay.
There's times, for example, when Iowa State comes and they play here, it's been estimated that there are 20,000 people that come to our city with no intention of actually going into the stadium. So what are they doing? They're usually downtown having a good time, and most of them are behaving, but not all. And likewise, there are a lot of different factors that go into a game, and our record has a lot to do with it. When we're on a winning record, as we are now, that raises everybody's anxiety level. Weather has everything to do with it. If it's dreary and cold, that drives everybody inside, and that helps sometimes as far as law enforcement's concerned, especially if it's pouring down rain. We really like that after a game because nobody likes milling around in the downtown area.
We like it in the neighborhoods too.
It keeps things quiet.
Yep.
And there's other things, losing to a controversial call. That's just something we know. When we see it on TV, we know a half an hour later there's going to be trouble, usually somewhere in the city, because it does incite people.
Well, and there's this, I think this impression that our focus is in downtown Iowa City. Can you talk a little bit about, is that an accurate assumption that our citizenry is making about the work of your department?
Our focus downtown. There are times when that is our focus downtown, but it's not something we can sustain. A focus anywhere is usually not something we can sustain for long periods of time, especially when we're spending overtime funds to raise that level of staffing. It's just not something you can do throughout the year. So we keep a lot of balls in the air, and there's just a lot of things that we're responsible for throughout the city. Traffic is one of them, pedestrian safety, bicycle safety. And those three groups sometimes always think we're picking on them, but they want us to pick on the other two. And we have to look at the whole picture of what keeps everyone safe. And likewise the neighborhoods and the downtown. Last I checked, the arm patch, it's the entire city. So, while we do have beat officers that are assigned specific areas, they're frequently called out to other areas to assist the beat officer that's assigned that particular area.